Once you start to trade in stocks and options, you're going to want to know everything possible about what affects the price of an option. Because we're using options in our positions for at least the money every month trades, you'd want to know exactly what it is that affects the value of the options that you own or the options that you're selling. And those variables include not only the strike price, the expiration of the option, but also what's called the Greeks. The Greeks include a number of different variables: the delta, the gamma, the theta, the vega, and rho, which has to do with interest rates. Let's start with delta. Delta is the measure of the change of an option's value with respect to a 1-point move in the underlying, which could either be a stock, a future, a commodity, or an ETF. Now, calls always have a positive delta and puts always have a negative delta. So how do deltas work in relation to our option positions? Well, delta measures how much we can expect an option to increase or decrease in price after a 1-point move in the underlying stock or ETF. So in this case, let's take a look at our position statement here for a second. Our current position statement states that our diamond position has a delta of -16. What that means basically is that if the diamonds were to increase in price by $1 and we are short delta on that position, then we would lose $15 for each $1 price increase in the diamonds. So for every point that the diamonds go up, we will lose $16. Think of delta as an alternative to owning stock. If you are short the stock, what do you want it to do in order to make a profit? You'd want it to go down. So if a price of our diamonds went down by $1, we would gain a $15 profit. So you can look at the delta as a substitute for the way the option will act depending on whether the stock itself, the underlying, goes up or it goes down. And you can tell based on the delta what will happen to your profit position. That's the most practical application of the Greeks, determining what will happen to your position if the underlying stock or ETF goes up by $1 or down by $1. As you can see from this, our overall position and our overall totals for delta for all of our positions is -21. That means we are short 21. You can think of delta as shares of stock. We are short 21 deltas on our entire position. If our position would move down by a point, in this position we would gain $22 if the price of the overall market were to decline. On our individual positions, however, the diamonds would increase by $15.63 for each 1-point drop in the diamonds. Our EEM position would actually gain 58 cents by an increase in the price of the EEM by $1. The IWM would increase by $23 if the price were to go up by $1. And the SPY position would increase by $33 if we were to drop a point in the SPY. The overall aggregate total of these positions is called the net delta. We are net delta and we are short delta by 24. To make this as easy as possible, think of this as an indicator to tell you what would happen if the price of your underlying position were to increase or decrease by $1. In this case, since we are net short 24 deltas, if our position would go down by $1, we would gain a profit of $23. If it goes up by $1, we would lose $24. So it's only an indicator. When it becomes really significant is when these numbers become so large that it's quite obvious that an adjustment is going to be necessary so that we don't lose a great deal of money. When the delta becomes negative 300, for example, and the market is railing up as it is today, it's up 113 points as represented by the Dow Jones Industrial Average, then we would be losing close to $300. That's a significant position that needs adjustment, otherwise we could be in a position to lose a lot of money. As it is, we're only 19 shares short, so it's a short delta, so it's very, very close to neutral. And that's not a bad position to be in, given our other Greeks. Let's move on to gamma to see how that variable works in relation to the price of our entire portfolio and individual positions. Gamma is the measure of the change of an options delta with respect to a 1-point move in the underlying stock, or ETF or future. So in other words, gamma itself is not a variable directly on the price of the option, but rather gamma is the measure of the change in the delta. So it has more of an effect on the delta than it does directly on the price of the option itself. When buying an option, gamma is positive. When selling an option, gamma is negative, regardless of whether it's a call or a put. This often confuses people because you have to keep in mind that gamma is the measurement of the rate of change of the delta, not of the option. In practical terms, a positive gamma is something that you want if you believe the market is going to be making a large move. If you are positive gamma, it will affect the delta in a way that will increase the price of the option if a large move is coming in the market. Long puts and calls are long gamma, and you make more money when the market moves. If you're short calls and puts, on the other hand, you're short gamma, and that means that you do not want the market to move too much. In our case, almost all of our positions are short gamma. We don't mind if our positions move, but not by too much. Normally when you're short gamma, that means you're selling calls and you're selling puts. So when you have a short gamma overall position, you are also going to be long theta. And theta is where most of the money is made. So let's move on to theta. The types of positions that we put on are all positive theta positions. Theta is the measure of how much an option loses value on a daily basis as time approaches expiration. Theta increases in size as it nears expiration. What this means is that the closer to expiration an option is, the quicker it loses its value. That's why I've mentioned in other videos that theta will increase as we get closer to expiration. In our case, we are positive theta on our diamond position of $6.06. That means that we should collect $6.15 every single day that we hold this position until expiration, as long as price remains within a certain range. On our EEM position, we are positive theta or long theta, $9.47. That means on average we should collect $9.47 every single day that the EEM remains within a certain price range. On the IWM position, we are long $9.96 or close to $10 in theta. We are positive theta by $10 on a daily basis. In other words, if price remains constant and doesn't dramatically change or go outside of the parameters that we want it to go out of, we will collect an average of $10 on that position alone per day. Our SPY position is also positive theta of about $10.40. As long as the price remains within a given range, we will collect an average of $10.28 per day for every day that we hold this position. These variables, of course, change constantly. And you can see as we've gone through this video, the prices are constantly changing within a few cents. On average, our overall total of all of our theta is a positive $36.20. That means for as long as we hold these positions and price remains fairly constant, we will collect an average of $36.35 on this position. And that's how money is made. Since options decrease in price closer they get to expiration, we should see this theta, our theta position, increase with time the longer we hold this position, given the fact that prices remain relatively stable. When they do not remain stable, that's when adjustments are necessary. And it's really important to understand how to do adjustments on positions that go against you. That's where the real profit in our system is. There's a lot of people who put positions on who do not know how to adjust them. They simply take their losses or take their profits and go home and don't realize that even though some of their positions had a small loss on them, they could have saved those positions. We always want to put on positions that are positive theta. We never want to get into a position in which we are negative theta. When you are negative theta, that means that that's the amount of money that you lose on a daily basis on that option. Let me give you an example. Let's say we go to a stock. Let's take Ford for example. On the May 2008 option, the May the strike price at $9 is selling for 18 cents, and you can buy it for 19 cents. If we were to purchase that option and analyze that position, we would see that right here under price slices, the current position of that option is a positive 30 delta, which means for every point or every dollar that stock goes up, we would make $30, which is good. Our gamma is 30. It's positive because when you purchase calls or purchase puts, they're always positive gamma. However, your theta is a negative 81. In this case, a negative 81 cents. Well, what does that mean? That means that every single day that this price does not move, you lose 81 cents on the price of that option. The fact is that option will actually lose money even if the stock increases to the point where it gets close to the $9 strike that you're buying. So when you purchase a long call option, not only do you have to be absolutely correct in the direction, but you also have to be correct in your timing, because you're losing on a 20-cent option 1.6 cents per day. That's why we always like to be positive theta. We always like to have theta working in our favor, because option prices do decline in price as they approach expiration. The time value specifically will decrease as we get closer to expiration. Let's take a look at Vega for a second. Vega is actually one of the most important components of the variables that affect the price of an option. Vega is the measure of how much a particular option will change in value because of a 1-point change in volatility. It really is the most powerful of all the Greeks. It can dramatically affect the position that you have because of the change in volatility. In the case of our demonstration account, we are a net positive 53 Vega. That means for each $1 change, an increase in the Vega, or the volatility of the market, we will gain an additional $53 in profit. But what is Vega? Vega, as measured by the volatility index of the CBOE, whose symbol is $VIX, normally known as the VIX, is a measure of volatility in the market. Volatility of the market goes up, stocks normally go down. When the volatility decreases, stocks go up. The measure of the volatility index is based on the measurement of the number of puts being purchased on the CBOE. The more people purchasing puts, the more fear there is in the market. People are afraid prices are going to decline, so they will go out and purchase puts. The demand for puts increases the levels of volatility, and it's really a measurement, the fear. So as you see, there's a couple of spikes in this chart where the volatility rose to a level that was slightly unusual for this time period. If we go back many years, you can see that these price levels are probably some of the highest that we've seen in over 5 years. This represents a lot of fear in the market. Many more people were buying puts at these points than ever before. Now we've gotten to the point where volatility has come down from approximately the 36 level down to the 19 level. That's a dramatic decline in the volatility levels over the last few months. Let's take a look how it translates into actual market activity. Actual market activity over the past few months has actually done exactly the opposite of the VIX. When people are no longer afraid, they don't buy puts anymore, and the market is actually starting to go up. So it acts opposite of actual market direction. There's the VIX. You can see it's been going down. Here's the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You can see it's been going up. The Vega, as measured as a variable for our option position, should be relatively neutral, like delta. If delta were to increase dramatically, either negative or positively, we would have to take action in order to try to get delta back to a fairly neutral level. The 25 level that we're currently at for delta, I would consider to be a fairly neutral position. I like to be slightly long delta in this environment because the market is going up, but our slight negative position is not going to harm our position that bad to warrant an adjustment. Our Vega position at a positive 53 means that as long as the market continues to rise and we are long Vega, now Vega acts opposite direction of the market. So when the market goes up, Vega goes down. And if you're long stock, what happens to your position when the market goes down? Well, you lose money. So if we are long Vega, the only way we can make money is if prices in the market go down and there's more fear. Then we make a $53 additional profit for each point the Vega goes up. When this Vega number on our overall portfolio goes, to extreme levels of plus 100, 200, or even 300, then any change in the volatility of the market could drastically and dramatically affect our position and profitability. we want to try to keep this as well as neutral as possible. A positive 53 vega is considered relatively neutral. Anything over 100 on our position, we may have to take a look at an adjustment in order to get it back to a level that would be considered neutral. Vega and delta are the two most important components of the variables of the option trades that we're putting on as far as profitability goes. With the type of positions that we're putting on, normally these stay within relatively neutral prices. And theta, of course, must always remain positive. Given all of the other variables in the price of an option, we want theta to be positive because that's how we make money every single day. We collect $36.50 as long as we hold this position if the price remains relatively constant. The final Greek that we're going to discuss today, and one in which is not displayed on this position statement, is rho. Rho is actually how much an option changes in value to the respect of a 1-point change in interest rates. The reason that interest is used at the price of an option is because when you buy an option, you are spending money. You could be otherwise sitting in an account collecting interest. All of the Greeks, actually variables of the option, are interesting because they give you more information and help you adjust your positions if necessary, but they also are an indicator that something is wrong with your position. And that's where the real power of these Greeks come in. They tell you if something is wrong. If any of these positions are dramatically out of line, if they aren't fairly neutral, for example, delta, we'd love to have a zero and neutral delta here, but that's never going to happen. The thing that we can do, though, is monitor our overall position according to delta, gamma, theta, and vega in order to determine whether or not an adjustment is necessary in our overall portfolio. The reason that we watch them is simply to make adjustments when necessary. And if the market should move against us, we want to make sure that we're in a position not to get hurt. All things being equal, we want delta and vega to be relatively neutral and theta to be positive. If you keep those points in mind, you're never going to get hurt. I suggest you read additional material on the Greeks in order to strengthen your education on the Greeks. As we go through the type of positions that we will be building in our portfolio, you will also become aware of how important a signpost the delta and the vega and the theta are. The types of positions we put on normally involve the sale of a call and put as well as the purchase of a call and put. That's why our positions in delta and vega are relatively neutral, while our theta is positive because we sell our options at a higher price than we're buying them. Normally these are considered credit spreads. And that's how we make our money. It's not important that you know every single detail about delta, gamma, theta, and vega in order to really profit from these types of trades. You should only be aware of their general power in affecting the price of an option position and your overall portfolio. As we go through the building of our portfolio and we go through each one of the videos that you'll see in this program, you'll see how important it is not only to monitor these positions using the Greeks, but also to take a look at our profit picture. Our profit picture is really a good visual tool in order to determine the exact position our portfolio has. This is what our current position looks like. Some people are very visual, and it would be a lot easier for them to take a look at this picture, and you can instantly tell that as long as the current price is within the center of our profit picture, then you know you're okay. You're going to be in good shape. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Hey, trade with confidence.